EU leaders furiously confronted Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban over a discriminatory law aimed at LGBT people during a council of the 27 members on Thursday. Tensions ran high as a host of leaders demanded Mr. Orban's ultra-conservative government repeal legislation that prohibits references to homosexuality or transgender issues in school material and media aimed at under-18s. The bloc has said the bill equates homosexuality with pedophilia and violates EU fundamental values related to equality and discrimination. Xavier Bettel, Luxembourg's prime minister and the only openly gay leader in the European Council, and Mark Rutte of the Netherlands led the charge against Mr. Orban on Thursday night. Mr. Rutte even asked Mr. Orban why Hungary does not leave the EU if it rejects the bloc's laws, which prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation, suggesting that Budapest could use Article 50 to leave the Union. Ahead of the summit, Mr. Rutte also described Hungary's leader as shameful, and said Mr. Orban had no business in the EU. It is not the first time the Hungarian leader has clashed with Brussels. Mr. Orban has become one of the most outspoken internal critics of the EU and some of Brussels' policies, with strong hostility to migration into the bloc. In 2019, Mr. Orban responded to growing criticism from the mainstream European establishment by urging deeper ties with his neighbors, calling for a spectacular Central European revival and an end to a United States of Europe. The Hungarian Prime Minister used a commemoration of Hungary's 1848 revolution against the Habsburg rule to refer to contemporary disputes between Budapest and Brussels, likening calls for deeper EU integration to a liberal empire. He said Europe needed to be based on strong nation-states and Christian culture. Alluding to the fence he built after 1 million asylum seekers passed through Hungary in 2015 on their way west, he said, "We were the ones who stopped the migrant invasion launched against Europe at the southern borders of Hungary." Mr. Orban was joined by Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, who also called for a Europe of nations, while Mr. Orban vowed stronger cooperation with Warsaw. He added, "When they attack Poland from Brussels, they are attacking the whole of Central Europe." Poland and Hungary have both faced disciplinary proceedings within the EU over alleged breaches of the rule of law. Over the years, Brussels has tried in vain to make the two countries fall in line, even by using its most powerful mechanism. Beginning with Poland in 2017, the EU sought to safeguard its founding principles and commitments by invoking Article 7 procedures for the first time against a member state. In 2018, Hungary followed. Article 7 is a mechanism for ensuring that the values of the European Union are upheld. The procedure is sometimes called the EU's nuclear option as it provides the most serious political sanction the bloc can impose on a member country, the suspension of the right to vote on EU decisions. There are two parts. Article 7. 1 would allow the Council to give a formal warning to any country accused of violating fundamental rights. If that doesn't have the desired effect, Article 7. 2 would impose sanctions and suspend voting rights. There have been significant hurdles for activating the procedure, though. So far, the only consequence has been a handful of hearings before the Council of Ministers, the last in December 2019, and a series of increasingly impatient resolutions in Parliament. Dutch MEP Sophie 't Veld wrote on Twitter last month, "The EU is good at making laws but far less effective at enforcing them." Slovenia's Foreign Minister, Andrzej Luger, said during a recent visit in Brussels that he had been informed by prior Council presidents that the Article 7 procedure is more or less a dead end, in a way, so one should rethink how to proceed with the issue. He described Article 7 as unworkable but, by contrast, praised a system set up last year under which EU member states conduct peer reviews of others' rule of law records. Mr. Luger called the system a good instrument in order to offset all those emotions that are connected with the question of rule of law. The peer reviews are not formally linked to any sanctioning mechanism, raising concerns that they won't safeguard democratic norms. But Mr. Loger said he would prefer to invest a lot of energy in this new peer review instrument, arguing it provides a broader perspective, while the member state has a possibility to explain their view. In a 2017 report for The Conversation, Maria Fletcher, a senior lecturer in law at the University of Glasgow, warned, even if the significant hurdles for activating the procedures could be surmounted, it is thought the political fallout would be incredibly toxic. For that reason, triggering Article 7 has long been regarded as politically unfeasible. EU law scholars have persistently pointed out, however, that this is little more than a politically convenient excuse for inaction. That excuse is not only intellectually dishonest, it undermines the letter and the spirit of the treaties and the EU's commitment to upholding the rule of law. Many people agree that it's high time to end Article 7's days as a political gesture. It is a tool in the EU's box and should actually be used when it is needed.